Hi, I'm Ash at Acupuncture Buffalo, and you just scheduled an initial appointment with me. So I wanted to give you some idea of what to expect, um, and kind of tell you what fertility acupuncture even is in the first place. Um, our first visit together is going to be about a 20-minute phone call on Zoom. And what we used to do is we used to do a very long intake, an hour and a half, and we would do the first 20 minutes or so talking, getting a lot of information from you, getting to know you, and then we would do an exam and a treatment all in the same visit. What we're doing now is we've just broken that up so that we can see you face to face with no mask on Zoom. And we'll do that in about 20 minutes. And then you're going to come in for your first session later on in the week or the next week, whatever's convenient for you. And we'll do the rest of that stuff. But it's kind of important, for me at least, to start our relationship face to face, even if there is technology in the way. Okay, so what is fertility acupuncture and why is it different from other acupuncture, and why is it different from other fertility treatments? So first and foremost, I want to set you up for the whole framework that I use to do everything regarding fertility. What's different is we're not necessarily looking for pathology and a solution to a problem or a disease state. What we're doing is looking at fertility as the natural byproduct of a healthy ecosystem. So fertility in you is going to be just like fertility in a garden. And I wouldn't go into a garden and just diagnose it as infertile. I would go into a garden, and if I wasn't getting great tomatoes, I would start looking at two things. I would look at the quality of the seed, and I would look at the quality of the soil that we're trying to grow in. And that's the exact same thing that we do when you come to us as a fertility client. There are some supplements that we recommend that are known to be beneficial for age-related decline with egg and sperm quality. Acupuncture may also be helpful for that, for the egg and sperm quality, the seed quality piece of that. But we will recommend some supplements because there's some peer-reviewed evidence of that being successful, whereas there's just not enough research on the acupuncture side for seed quality. But the other part of that is soil quality. And these are the things that we're going to be talking about a lot and monitoring over the course of your treatment. You're going to fill out, if you haven't already, an intake form. It's going to ask you a lot of questions, and largely there'll be questions about what kind of symptoms you're experiencing around your period or around ovulation. And it's from the answers to those questions plus what we see and hear and feel when you're actually in our office that we'll use to see where there's some imbalance in the soil. So when you're looking at that garden analogy, for example, you want to make sure that the soil has the right amount of compost, the right amount of light, not too much, not too little, the right amount of water in the soil, proper drainage. And we're the same way, and we have all of these components that we're looking for that balance. So not too much and not too little. Those things, you'll hear Chinese words being used: yin, yang, qi, blood, dampness, words like that you don't need to pay any attention to. The point is, it's just a Goldilocks principle. If you're a little too hot, we want to cool you down. If you're a little too dry, we want to moisten you up. What you're going to see, though, is that there's going to be obvious signs and symptoms in your cycle. And that's how we know if we're making progress. So a lot of the questions that you're going to answer are things like, do you have any mood changes before your period? Do you get like PMS type symptoms? Do you get agitated or irritable before your period starts? Do you have any pain at all whatsoever with your period? Do you notice anything mid-cycle? These are the kind of things that let us know where there's room for improvement. So for example, the perfect period, not just the perfect period, but the whole cycle, the gold standard of where we want to get you to is a 28-day cycle. We want you to start your period on day one with no spotting. So the blood comes in right from day one, full. You have about 4 days of real solid bleeding, not too heavy, but heavy enough to soak a tampon or a pad roughly every 4 hours. And then it trails off. There's no pain. There's no clotting. There's no mood changes leading up to it. There's no tender breaths leading up to it. And then your follicles grow, your lining builds, then you have around mid-cycle, you ovulate, you have abundant, stretchy cervical fluid. You ovulate with really no sensation, certainly no pain or mood changes. And then after you ovulate, you start your luteal phase, and you don't feel a whole lot different until your period starts again. So if your period is anything less than that perfect period, there's room for improvement, and we can probably help. The other thing that's important about that is that those signs and symptoms are how you know if we're helping you. It's easy when you come in as a pain patient or something really obvious like a digestive problem, because acupuncture either works or it doesn't, and it's quite clear your pain goes away. And so it's really obvious that I'm helping you. Pregnancy is a little trickier, because even if you were pregnant right now, it's going to take 9 months to get that baby. So we've got to have a way of knowing, are we doing the right things between now and then? So that is why we pay so much attention to these signs and symptoms, and we ask you things about them. And that's what I want you to hold us accountable to. If those things are not getting better, we're not getting the job done, and results are really important to us. So you would fire us if we can't. If we're not getting it done, then we need to find you someone who can. At your first visit, what we're going to do is we're going to log on to Zoom, and we're going to talk. I'm going to have already read the forms that you've filled out, and so I'm going to know some of these things about the signs and symptoms that you're experiencing. But what we're going to do that's a little different is we're going to really I'm going to get to know you as a person, because that's where Chinese medicine is even different. It's not just about those signs and symptoms, but it's about your constitution and what makes you, you. Because, headaches in one person or menstrual cramps in one person are just fundamentally different in how they impact you, how they impact your life, and how you experience the world. So a big part of that 20 minutes is learning how you experience the world. When your treatments do start, you'll come in person, and in the beginning you'll come about once a week, and you'll probably only do that for 5 or 6 times, and that'll allow us to treat you during all of the major phases of your cycle. So your period, the follicular stage, around ovulation, the 2-week wait, and a little overlap. And so we will be able to do really targeted treatments during each of those phases, and then also see you during each of those phases, because you're hormonally very different at all of those phases. Once we get an idea for how you are and what to do during all those phases, assuming that you're already noticing some progress, which you should, then we'll start phasing your treatments out a little bit less often. So you'll probably only come every other week, basically around ovulation and around when your period starts, are probably the optimal timing. Now, some of you are going to be also getting fertility treatments. So depending on what meds you're using and what you're doing at the clinic, you might just be doing some simple oral meds like letrozole or Clomid. You might be doing injectable meds like Follistim or Gonal-F, and you might even be doing IVF. So all of those things can change timing a little bit. We do like to time treatments a little more strategically in relation to especially IVF, retrieval and transfer. But other than that, if you're not there yet, if you're just either not at a fertility clinic or you're at a fertility clinic but only using oral meds, we're probably going to see you weekly for about 4 to 6 weeks, and then every other week roughly around ovulation and period. Gosh, I'm about to talk to you, so I'm going to leave it there, but that is a little teaser. You're going to log on to Zoom, and we're going to talk more, but at least you'll know kind of where I'm coming from. I can't wait to meet you.